Your socialist utopia is never going to work because people are naturally greedy and inherently selfish. Claiming that it is human nature to be greedy and selfish when we all live under a capitalist society which naturally rewards greed and selfishness is like saying that it's a dog's nature to be violent and aggressive when you abuse a dog and throw it into a pit with a bunch of other dogs and make the dogs fight for their basic needs, right? And saying that how the dog behaves in that pit with the other dogs fighting for its resources is just a dog's nature, right? They're naturally violent and aggressive. So a couple things. First off, what kind of qualities does capitalism reward? Capitalism rewards greed and selfishness and individualism with competition and hoarding behavior. So the ones who are the most successful under capitalism are going to have those qualities and are the ones who are the greediest and the ones who have stepped on the most amount of people to get to the top, right? And so when you look at the world and you see the people in power and you come to the conclusion like, oh, look at what lots of money and power does. It makes people greedy and selfish. No, it's the opposite. These people became powerful and the richest because of how greedy and selfish they were. Just like in my dog example, with all the dogs fighting for resources in the pit, the ones who are the most violent and most aggressive are the winners of that scenario. So they're the ones who are rewarded in that scenario. And my other point is that capitalists ultimately thrive off of the backs of the working class and their labor. So the cheaper they can make labor, the richer they're going to become. So capitalism absolutely thrives on making sure that any and all social programs are totally and completely gutted so that workers have to spend most of their paycheck on just survival, and therefore they're acting in survival mode and are desperate, and desperate workers make cheap workers. So when a worker is constantly focusing on making sure they have to make rent or having health care or food, right? And they're operating in this survival mode, they're going to act in a more selfish manner. Just like a dog that's fighting for its resources is going to act in a more aggressive way because that's the only way it knows or it's going to be successful. Under capitalism, the only way you're going to be successful and live comfortably is through being greedy and being selfish. Being selfless and caring for others isn't going to get you anywhere under this system. So to sum up my point here, don't fall into this trap of believing that it's human nature to be greedy and human nature to be selfish when the entire system is built upon human greed and selfishness. And imagine what would happen instead of withholding resources from the dogs and making them fight. Imagine if you gave those dogs proper food and water and shelter and a loving home and with a caring and loving family. Imagine what human nature would look like when the human is properly cared for and loved.